Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. For today we are talking about the Huda New Nude palette. You saw me use this in my Thanksgiving tutorial. I'm going to give you my review and thoughts on it. A trend that I noticed for the winter time was mauve tones. I have seen so many mauve tone palettes, so it got me thinking, if you have this one, do you need this one? Or do you need Urban Decay Cherry? Or do you need ABH Modern Renaissance? We're going to talk about it all. First thing, let's go over what I have on my eyes, because I do have on Huda New Nude on my eyes. The first shade that I have on, first I went in with the concealed. So I'm going to use my fingers a lot for this palette, and I'll explain why. So using my finger, I'm going to take the concealed shade and I'm going to put that all over the lid. No problems blending that out. After that, we're going to go in with this kind of very burgundy spackle tone in Fantasy, taking my finger, putting that all over the lid but leaving some space in the inner tear duct. And then once we get done with that, using my finger again, we're going to take Crave and I'm going to put that in the inner. Also, just to get a little bit tighter in there, I am going to have to take a pencil brush, so I'll take a pencil brush and kind of blend that in as well. Now for the crease, I did it backwards. I know a lot of people typically do the crease then the shimmers. Sometimes I like to do it backwards. So we're going to take the shade Raw, and Raw is going to go on the crease, on the outer, and then after that we're going to go ahead and take Raw and put that in the lower lash line as well for liner. I love using shadows as liner. That's one of my favorite things to do. And then of course in the inner tear duct we're going to take Crave and just blend it in with Raw, throw on some liner on the top and mascara, and we're good to go. Alright, so let's talk about this palette. One of the most interesting things in here, I will say, are these spackle tones. So the shades like Fantasy, Crave, Charm, Daydream, those are very interesting. I can honestly say I have never used anything like them. When you in the pan, it looks like you can see that they're very dimensional. The shade that I have on my eyes, Fantasy, it's like burgundy, but then it's got some pink flecks and it's got kind of like a white shimmer to it. It's really pretty. So I think that is very unique. I don't have anything like it in my collection. I do like Huda Beauty's mattes. I have no issues with her mattes. In fact, the Desert Dust palette is one of my favorite palettes. I know I do use it weekly. I don't really use it much here on my channel, just simply because, I mean, it is expensive. I know some people feel a way about Huda Beauty, so there's that. But I do like the mattes. Now, the only thing that I am not thrilled about in this palette, which I don't like in the other one, are these glitters here. I have not touched those, just simply because I'm not interested in them, and glitter to me is just messy and I don't have time for that. Now let's talk about the concealed shade. Wasn't mad at the concealed shade. I used my finger for it. Put it all over my lid. When you put it on, yes, it is going to look white, but that is okay. Please keep in mind that this is not made for you to just wear as is. This is specifically made for as a shadow base, as a primer. So you're going to put colors on top of it. I had no issues with it. Now, would I use it? I would use it just out of convenience, it being right here, but I'm not a fan of creams being mixed with powders, and especially not shimmers, because sometimes it does fall in there and then it kind of looks like a hot, gross mess. So not a fan of that. Now with these spackle shades, something that I have noticed, it ain't gonna work if you use a brush. I know that when she launched this palette, she has a specific tool that she uses for the spackles to pick up, which I'm not really into buying a tool that's gonna be used mainly for one palette. I mean, I'm sure you can use it on other things, but I have no problems using my fingers. I use my fingers quite a bit, especially when I am working with shimmer tones, just simply because the oil from your fingers is going to warm it up a little bit more, and it's going to give you more intensity. I'm not the girl that sprays the brush and dip it in there and then put it on my eye. I just don't do that. I don't really have a rhyme or reasoning. I just don't, but you will have to use your finger, because if you go in with the brush, I'll show you. We're just going to do a quick little swatch here. So taking the shade that I used here, Fantasy, I'm just going to take a clean brush and I'm going to dip in, and I'll give you guys a swatch, and nothing is going to come up. I'll do it again. Doesn't swatch that great with the brush. Let me wet it just for kicks and giggles and see what happens. So I'll wet it, then we'll put it in. Yeah, still not much coming up, okay? But if I use my finger, clean fingers here, dip in, swatch, you're gonna see that it picks up much better. So that is something you have to think about. If you are someone who does not like using your fingers, I would say don't even bother with this palette, because to use those specific shades, you're gonna have to use your fingers, especially if you don't want to buy another tool. And I could totally understand why, just simply because I bought mine during the 20% off sale, and honestly, I'm not gonna buy a palette that's $65 and then have to use a specific brush just to make the shadows work. So I would think that would be a con for me. Now, if you have this one, I know a lot of people think that the Urban Decay Cherry palette is very similar. So let's look at these side by side and get some thoughts. So the Urban Decay Cherry, first of all, the formula is very, very different. These in formulations, the mattes are different, the shimmers, the only shimmer that's even in here is, Kinky. So this palette only has one shimmer, where Cherry, you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 options. So shimmers in here at Cherry, you're gonna get more. If you're someone who does not like anything that's sparkly or glittery, don't get this. I would go with the Cherry, because the Cherry is gonna be more, I would say the Cherry is gonna be more user friendly and easier for you to use. Now, as far as the shade, as far as the ranges and the colors go, I can see how they look very, very similar. The thing that's going to make this look different is just for the simple fact of it comes down to the shimmers and the glitters. Now, if you're looking for something that's easy to use, I would more so go with the Cherry, but if you like having the options of, you know, the spackles and the glitter, you want to get a little bit more fancy, go with this one. Now, do you need both of these? Absolutely not. So it's just going to be a matter of your preference. Now, in comparison to the ABH Modern Renaissance. So the ABH Modern Renaissance is very much so different from the Huda New Nude. It's different in formulation. This one has a couple of shimmers in it. This doesn't have any glitter. These two are very, very different. If you are someone who likes, if you like more of a mauve tone, I would go this way, because this is going to lean more of a mauve tone. But if you are looking for something that's got a little bit more variety, because when you look at the Urban Decay Cherry palette, it gives you straight up all mauve options. Now with the ABH Modern Renaissance, you're gonna have these fun burgundies, these kind of pinkish undertones. You've got some browns in here, you've got some purple, you got some oranges, you've got some variety. So if you want my opinion on which one I think you should get, I like the Huda Beauty. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but the fact of the matter that this is super expensive, I don't ever like to say yes, get something that's super expensive if it's not like 100% like 10 gold stars. This is not a bad palette. However, because there is a little bit of a learning curve with it, just simply as you can't use your brushes, you might have to use your fingers, I would not feel comfortable recommending it. Now, do I like this palette? Absolutely 100%. I've been using it. Now, when it comes down to the Cherry palette, again, this is going to matter. This is going to be a matter of preference. All of this is a matter of preference. So there's really no right or wrong. It's basically going to boil down to what you like and what works for you. What works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. Now, this is going to be more so for the 100% legit mauve tone lover. If you are not a mauve tone lover, don't mess around with this. However, I feel like this is a user-friendly palette. What you see is what you get when you put it on your eyes. There's no learning curve. You can use brushes, you can use fingers. No matter what you do with this palette, it's gonna work for you. Now, the Modern Renaissance. This is going to be more so for the person that does not really care for a palette with loads and loads of mauve tones. So if you're someone who doesn't like the glitter or the spackles and you don't want just a straight up mauve tone, but you want to have a little bit of that berry going on, this will be a good palette for you, just simply because you can see the variety of shades. You've got some mauve, some burgundies, you've got some neutral tones in there, you've got that fun orange tone, and this palette is currently $29. So hello, what a fine time to buy it. This palette you guys voted will be my next video for my Throwback Thursday, so you'll see a look with it. Alright guys, so that is going to wrap up my review and thoughts on the Huda palette and also the mauve tone palettes. Which one do you need? Down below, tell me which one you have, if you have any. If you're thinking about buying one, let me know which one you want to buy and why. Alright guys, you know the drill. Keep it simple. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my my next video. Peace.